Okay, the beginning of the real group was actually, if we go way back, me and Katarina, we have known each other since we were 10 years old. And
You were 11.
I was 11, yeah. And actually, even before we started singing together, I became a couple with one of your best friends.
This is right.
So we started sort of being in the same social network.
So,
and
yeah.
then later on, I and Peter and Anders Jacques and Margareta, the other four original members, we started, we entered a course at the Royal Academy of Music in Stockholm. And
But we had all sort of known each other from this special choral school that we all went to.
Yeah,
from
that's
when we
right.
were, started at age of 10. I didn't know Margareta, but I knew Anders, and Peder knew Margareta, so it was kind of a social thing from the beginning.
Definitely, and I think also the singing to begin with was very much it was never meant to be a career. We never sort of aimed for a professional situation, but we just enjoyed singing, and I wrote a score, and then I called the girls and the others,
Yeah.
and then we met and sang it, and next month Peter wrote a score and called us up and sort of just trying things out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I guess we're still sort of surprised that this is a career.
Yeah,
At least I am.
it's a really successful banana peel that
Yeah.
we happened to slip on. Yeah.
But actually, the education thing developed because you, without everybody's knowledge, this is sort of a funny story, or I wouldn't say even sort of, it is a funny story, checked out all the other members but me started at the Royal Academy in Stockholm on different curriculums. Margareta was going to be a professional harpist, and you started at the teaching program, I think, but
Yeah.
also arranging, I mean, all sorts of things. But then you found out that we could actually get into this school as a group if we applied for this postgraduate course, the so-called diploma course, which is a very prestigious thing and that had always been reserved for, let's say, a classical piano player or but also a trombone quartet, which is what you had found out. Am I telling the story?
String quartet
String
also,
quartet,
and
yeah.
the only way to study on a high level education in Sweden was as what at this particular postgraduate course actually, and we were fortunate and we got in as I would say the first group that had a
non-classical, yeah,
contemporary focus.
But the thing was that we didn't know that you had sent in the application.
No.
So that was kind of a surprise that all of a sudden there was this audition for the group. But it went all well, and I guess in my case I was very relaxed since I had no idea what was at stake. And then when we got in, the teachers didn't know what to do with us because they had never had a non-classical group in the school.
Yeah.
And this gave us an incredible freedom in a way, and also a groundwork, to build our own groundwork all by ourselves, to make our groundwork all by ourselves, and they would just support it, and which was incredible, I think. And in retrospect, I think that this is something in our culture that has been with us ever since, that, okay, nobody knows how to do this, so we'll make it up, and then we'll discuss it and work with it in our way.
Yeah, if we don't have a wheel, we'll invent it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what the school actually did is that they said, we don't know how to teach you this, so you tell us and we will pay for the teachers that you choose, and they don't even have to come from the school. So we actually got to work with Mr. Ward Swingle, which was incredible, and great arrangers that weren't necessarily, well, there were some fantastic arrangers connected to the school, but a jazz singer who we loved, still,
and a drummer and a choreographer, and we just picked people that we wanted to be inspired by and taught by. So it was 2 years of self autonomous education from our side, but with hand-picked tutors and mentors, which was luxury.
Yeah. So we called them, like, let's say on Tuesday, if we were supposed to have a lesson on Friday. Yeah, how would you, Mr. So-and-so, who you are a drummer, would you like to just bring your drum kit and play with us on these 3 songs? This is our idea of our lesson on Friday. And then he would say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We'll do that. And, so it was very much initiated by us. But like you said, then taken care of by really incredible teachers.
To be honest, I think our sound derives from our limitations rather than our possibilities. We started out with a group. We were choir singers, all of us. We had that in common. I would say Margareta was already at age 18 a pretty technically good singer, and Katarina has been in pop, reggae, blues band on top of her choir experience. Yeah. I was a keyboard player. Peter was definitely a guitar player. Anders Jackeus sort of played everything from organ to accordion to whatever, and had classical opera studies at the same time. So the diversity of the group sort of created, I would say, the sound.
Yeah, but I think it was very much Margareta's sound in the beginning that because that to us, I think it sounded like this sounds like it's ready to go. Yeah. So we would do arrangements that I would say, I mean, not consciously featuring her, but because of her voice, she became the center part of our sound for at least the first 3 years, I would say.
Yeah, much so.
Yeah, and then from there, I think we have all developed as group singers and maybe also as soloists, but our group sound has come gradually.
Yeah.
And there has never been another group. Actually, I would say the opposite. If there has been a group that we love, then we have sort of been like, we can't do this because they're so good doing that.
They do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as far as role models and things like that, we didn't find those within the vocal world at all. We didn't really go for that. We listened a lot to the Count Basie band. We listened to some Beatles stuff. We listened to folk music or classical music that inspired us, rather than sort of trying to imitate already existing groups.
I'd say that when the Take Six, when their first album came, it could have been that would have been no real group, because we listened to it and we were like, okay, we give up. This is it. We have nothing to do in this. But of course,
and then we also later on we realized that, of course, what they do is what they've been growing up with, what they're good at.
Yeah.
And I think the second question is really easy to answer, because there is definitely a group effort.
Absolutely so.
We
even have a method for it, taking turns being the leader each day when we rehearse. So that's very much a philosophical, what do you say, platform for us, that it should be that way, and also something that we really concretely work with. But of course, I would say that Anders, you have written a lot of the scores and many of the songs, and that has given you, the we want to know what you have thought about your arrangements and your music, of course.
Definitely, and I think also if the second question would be about the methods or ideas that we have that we can contribute with. I think I just came from a workshop I did with 15 young Norwegian really good singers that I've been working with, and I think we have a really, really large toolbox when it comes to music. Many of these tools are not really expressed even by ourselves. We work with tools that. No, we have a lot of tools, a lot of ways to work that we just do intuitively, that we have within us. But then we also have, during the years, because of the teaching we've done and the workshops we've done, have been forced to sort of put into words and methods things that we do. And I think,
and again, this comes from our education that we had to invent. So I think that was a culture of doing that.
It was definitely, and I think one of the major things that we try to work really hard is that we try to have some kind of positive reinforcement in what we do. It's really hard, I know, and Katarina would probably not say that I'm always that positive and not reinforcing either.
Neither am I.
But we try to elevate that part of our communication and when we work with education, because it's so easy to get into a situation where you try to find all the mistakes, you look for whatever is wrong, and then you try to fix all the things that are wrong, and then you think that you'll end up with something that is perfect. You actually probably will end up with something that in the best case would be flawless, but it would perhaps not be interesting at all because you have never been working on what is good about it. So that's one thing that we try to promote within the group, and even outside that. Say yes. We have a 20-minute rule,
yeah, that's
for example.
a good one. Yeah.
That after we had a show, we're not allowed to say anything negative about anything actually for 20 minutes, because it might sound easy, but when we did it in the beginning, we realized that we didn't have anything to say because we were not collecting good things. We're collecting bad things.
To show each other that, I noticed that this was bad. So then you, of course, have to tell your friend that, you missed this one, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and
it becomes such a negative thing.
And we were eager to improve.
Yeah.
We really wanted to get better and better and better. And we thought the road to perfection would be finding the mistakes and correcting them. While it's not the case. Actually, what is the case is trying to find what you're really good at. Enhance those things, because they will sort of shadow out everything you do that is not that perfect, because that is what reaches people in the long run.
So that is a really good rule. It was really funny when we had the new members come in, Emma and Morten. Emma, we forgot to tell her this. So after her first performance with the group, she was like, "Oh no, I missed blah blah blah," and we were all like, saying nothing, just smiling and nodding our heads. And she was like, "Okay," and then
for 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes, yeah. So, but then she found out about this rule, so she stopped coming down on herself too. So that's. But I would also say there's a very concrete method that we have that's kind of hard to, maybe it's better to exemplify by singing and playing, but since you were asked by the choir directors here, one thing that we do is that if we have a difficult chord, for instance, that we always go flat or we always do something intonation-wise that's a problem. This is very, very common for a lot of choirs. What we do is we have a method of actually going to the piano and playing this chord before you sing it. Most choir directors will play the chord after the choir has sung it and then be like, go a little bit up there, go a little bit down there on this particular chord. And what we try to do is to have an idea that you listen for a color of the chord that you want to sing, and to trust that people, when you have heard that, that you can actually produce it, rather than being like scared of, I'm a little too flat here, I'm a little sharp. This might be not perfectly clear when we can't demonstrate it, but this is a method that is...
Yeah, well, and the basis of the method is, basic idea of the concept is that you actually never try to point out what is wrong. You never, even if we sing a song and all the four of us can hear that Katarina is completely flat on one note, we don't tell her. We just sing up to the chord, play the chord and listen to the chord and say, this is how the chord is supposed to sound. It's a beautiful chord, let's sing the chord. And then we sing it, and Katarina will sing in tune all of a sudden. She won't even know that she was out of tune. Nobody has told her.
Right.
So we're not putting each other down in that sense by pointing out the mistakes or the problems. It creates singers that are less scared on stage for doing mistakes, because we sort of avoid even knowing about them.
Yeah. We try to stay as ignorant as we can.
Yeah, it feels like some kind of escapism, but it's not.
And it is.
It actually works.
Yeah.
Don't give away all your secrets.
No.
Well, actually,
we'd be glad to.
Actually, we would love to give away our secrets. That's one thing that we have been...
That's also a method, actually.
Yeah, we have been very many times been accused of being too non-competitive. Because as soon as we sort of find another vocal group that we like for example, many years ago we heard Rajaton sing, and we said, this is such a good group coming from Finland. Nobody knew about them. So as soon as we had a gig, we told the promoters that next time don't hire the real group, hire Rajaton instead. Which has ended up that after a couple of years, they had more gigs in Germany than we did. Because we I don't know, we like to promote things that are good, and we don't look at music as a competition in that sense. The more good groups that are around, the better.
For all of us.
Say. Yeah. I heard two questions. One is how to find the promoters, and then the question about social media. Before social media, it worked like we had a concert, and then somebody at the concert was there listening to it, or somebody heard the album and then they hired us. It was sort of a mouth-to-mouth thing that worked that way. With the social media thing, it has changed a lot.
Yeah, but I'm also surprised because, I mean, that has, especially on this tour now where we know that we haven't been to the States that much and people have actually just checked us out on YouTube and then they come to the concerts and they're like, oh, I've seen this clip, but seeing you live is like, that's the thing. So, I mean, it's not like it can of course help because you reach so many people, so that has changed.
Yeah.
And you reach... Yeah, and needless to say, with the visual thing, and that's really big. So what we try to do now is to actually make some recordings every once in a while and produce them ourselves and have them out. We did something called the Södermalm sessions, where we recorded 3 songs in a live situation, which is, I don't know, that is as important as making a new album or recording things in the studio, maybe even more important.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it will only gradually go towards that thing too. But of course it's different things, because a live performance is a live performance. In a studio you can actually make music in a different way, which we also like to do.
What I like about this social media landscape, or the new possibilities, is that there is nothing between us and our fans nowadays. Because we record something, we post it directly on any music channel, or we post a video, and immediately 10 seconds later we have somebody who has reacted on it, write something, and I can answer this person about whatever he's saying. You know, before there was always a record label, a publisher, a marketing thing, or a distribution channel, and a record store that was sitting between me and the person who actually enjoyed my music. And I think I really think that is fantastic. All of us, we have thousands of friends on Facebook. We don't know most of them, but they're really lovely, and some of them keep coming back, and you sort of get to know them after a while. And the possibility to just chat with a young girl in Taiwan, or an old fan down in Brazil, or whatever, it's such a joy, I would say.
But as far as the second questions, if it has helped us with promoters or on the business side of things, I don't know. My feeling when you ask this is that I know maybe 25 years of not being so into social media, and maybe 5 years where it's really changed drastically. But I would say that all the promoters that we've had during the years, they have been interested in promoting us because they have seen and heard us live, and they want to promote our concert side of things. So it is still a really important thing for us, I think, to have that live possibility. And that's another thing that I think, that this whole new scenario with records not being sold anymore and us being more dependent, we have always been made most of our money, to say it clearly, on concerts. So for us it's just great, because it's always been like that, and music is something that I feel is best expressed in the same room with an audience, and we love that. And so this development that's going on, where that becomes a stronger thing for most artists, if you can live up to it, is only good for us. Looking at you.
Well,
Anders has been doing so much for our recordings and everything ever since we started, actually.
Yeah, and I think, of course, there is a very simple answer, and that is, the more they cost, the better they sound, usually. But they also have to be of the right kind, and you also have to be able to use it. You have to have a good engineer. We've had the same engineer for almost the full time span of the group. Maybe the first couple of years we were actually acoustically, so didn't have any mics, but
Jan Apelholm.
Yeah, he's been with us for ages, and he knows the ins and outs of vocal engineering, basically. And also, I think one important thing is also to know that one microphone is not like another one. So it's a little like trading your violin in for a better one or more expensive one. It will take...
When you ask that, the first thing that comes to mind, what I would like to focus on, if I can just speak freely about our music, then maybe this is very pretentious, but I'll say it anyway, that I think that it's just amazing to see really the healing powers of music when we meet the audience. And it goes for us as a group as well. People ask how we've been able to stay together for so long. And I guess it isn't magical, because music is that way, that, you know, we can fight or we can argue or we can have disagreements or whatever, and we come up on stage and we start singing, or even during rehearsals when we start singing, something gets fixed and you're in this fantastic space where things are good. And to treasure that and to have to work for that as much as you can is a true privilege, and to be able to share that with people that do this is even better. I'd like to focus on that.
Yeah. One thing that I reflect upon many times is the age span we have. Because in my opinion, music, if you look in the world of commercial music, especially of today, it's very segregating. That means that if you're this age, you're supposed to listen to this music, and if you're this age and come from this ethnical background, you're supposed to listen to this type of music, and so on. It even, you know, you can tell on the album cover that this is not for me. This is for some other age, or, you know, whatever group there is. And I think
target group.
Yeah, and I guess that is sort of the downside of the whole commercialism. That in order to market something, you have to aim it for a specific group. Otherwise, it's really hard to market something. When we have our concerts in Sweden, we have age 7 to 77, and actually above that and below that.
Yeah.
And I think it's so fun because, of course, they don't like the same songs always and understand the same lyrics. But they are there together sharing an experience. And I wonder, where else can they actually do that? I mean, what movie can they see, or what music can they listen to that, you know, that you sit there with the children and your grandparents and everybody sit there enjoying their time, having something to share. That makes me extremely proud.
We have done that quite a bit, and we were actually in Vienna this past fall at Musikverein, so I think we have pretty much, we've been done well in that aspect, but we have a very nice repertoire, because we started talking about this maybe 5 years ago or even longer, and we said that we wanted to not just be in front of the orchestra and having them, being like the artist in front of the orchestra. We really wanted to make arrangements that would, where we would really work as musicians as well, since that's where the background that we have. So we put a lot of energy into making some really nice arrangements, and it's been so fun to see how the orchestras that we have worked with so far, they have, really been open to that. So we've had the best of times with the orchestras.
Yeah, and I also think that they expected 5 singers to come to the show and the rehearsal, and they realized that they got 5 fellow musicians that wanted to sort of join their band, not being stars up there. And I think it's in that part of the musical world there is a very, very
hierarchy with
and the belief in authority, and there are very strict rules on who to say maestro to and who to open the door for and so on. So I think we came in we broke down those barriers pretty quickly, as a matter of fact.
It's been great.
But by the way, I think I'm going to talk to the Boston Pops about you folks, because the group I represent did a 7-city tour with the Boston Pops during the Christmas season. And they're wonderful people. They're down to earth. Keith Lockhart is a wonderful conductor, and the person I dealt with was Dennis Alves, and good people, and they pay good dollars, and I think you'd enjoy working with them.
Sounds incredible. Please.
I'll put them in touch with you folks.
Yeah,
so,
fantastic.
That would be great.
In fact, I will send Dennis this interview after I get it edited. So,
Thanks.
Super.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. who? This is a fun part of it. When you're on the road, who are the introverts and the extroverts, and what do you guys do outside the concert hall?
Oh, wow.
I would have to say that when Peder Karlsson, our former baritone, he would be the definite extrovert.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
But I think coming, then that would have been no second, third, fourth. Maybe I would come in on number 5.
Yeah, you're
or so.
pretty,
I'm up there.
pretty,
I'm an extrovert,
yeah.
but not in the same league as Peder Karlsson.
No. And I think in different occasions we
can
play
be pretty
different
up there.
role.
Yeah. And Anders Jalkeus as well.
Yeah.
I'd say that Morten and Emma, the new members, but maybe that's because they are our babies.
Yeah, we call them the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. We refer to them, and they refer to us as mommy and daddy.
Yeah. So maybe they let mommy and daddy step up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know what they're doing when we're going to bed.
That's
though.
true.
No
that's
idea
true. Yeah,
if they behave or not. We're honored and thrilled to be a part of the Behind the Mic. This series of interviews with people who have been part of the a cappella community for decades, and it becomes more and more apparent that we also are a part of that history and tradition. It feels a little strange because I'm a large part of me is still 22 and trying to have fun and discover music, So
and looking for what to do next.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Yeah, sort of. But and of course a huge thank you to all the creators of a cappella music all through time. So predecessors like starting all the way back in the Mills Brothers.
Yeah.
And people working under completely different circumstances than we did, and of course groups that are non a cappella like Manhattan Transfer has been a great source of inspiration. Bob McFerrin.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have a lot of people, not American groups, of course. We have the La Double Six and the Swingle Singers. We have good groups in Germany, Japan, Taiwan, and so on. All contribute to the international vocal scene that we are part of. And as soon as we meet them, we're so really happy to have it feels like we're friends already. Ideum North down in Australia, and we have, of course, we mentioned Jayaton in Finland already. The list is long of people. The list is long of people who have really paid high, made high contributions to this idiom.